Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about things that people don't usually talk about. I want to tell you some things that you're probably not expecting to hear as a new mum. I'm a first-time mum. I gave birth 11 weeks ago and there's been a lot of things that I've learned and I want to share that with you. There's a lot of things that have happened that have been unexpected and it's just like, whoa. So let's just jump in. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Postnatal night sweats. Oh my God, literally waking up drenched, and it wets the sheet, you wonder if you've wet yourself. This went on for a lot longer than I expected. It tapered off about a month after, and then every couple of nights I'd still have it, like every, I don't know, third night or something. Probably about 6 weeks, 7-ish weeks, even up to 2 months. I went through so many pajamas because I could wear them one night and then I'd need a new set. Just expect that. I don't think it happens for everyone, but I did not realize how bad it was. I did talk about this in my birth story, but when you meet your baby for the first time, everyone talks about that magical moment, but for me and pretty much everyone that I've talked to, it's really not that magical. I had a C-section and they held her above the curtain and she was this little monster, and I just remember thinking oh my God, is this it? Because her face was all smushed, she had a whole heap of dark hair that I wasn't expecting, and she was purple, she was covered in goo, and she was just this little thing with this big head, and it just wasn't pretty. I have a photo and I don't plan on sharing it with the internet, but it's not cute. So if you expect to see this perfect little baby like you see in the movies, just scrap that. It'll take a few days for your baby to start looking like itself, but I will say every single hour she changed. So expect it to not last that long. It will get better, but I don't know, obviously looks aren't everything. As long as the baby is happy and healthy and okay. But if you're expecting a magical kind of moment, yeah, might not happen. I do want to talk about something before I gave birth, and it was at 36 weeks. I had not heard of anyone mention this, but they do offer you this thing called a strep B swab. It goes in your vagina, in your butthole, and they test for this thing called strep B. Strep B is a funny thing. It comes and goes. Sometimes you do have it, the next day you won't. And if you do have it when you are going into labor and giving birth vaginally, then it can have some serious effects on your baby. So they like you to come in as soon as you go into labor, put you on antibiotics so that your baby doesn't get harmed. It is optional that you don't have to do the swab. You do it yourself. Well, at least I got to do it myself, but just putting that out there in case you weren't aware that they'll give you a swab to do, that you put up your fanny and bum. So as I mentioned, I had a C-section. I know that a few people have mentioned this about when they gave birth, but I did not expect to be shaking so much while on the operating table. I know it's a side effect from the drugs, but I was shaking, my teeth were chattering uncontrollably, and it was that was kind of all I could focus on. I guess it was a good distraction, but I just didn't feel well, and I was also vomiting. But people that go into labor as well, and I don't know if it's that they have the epidural, but that can cause shaking as well. But just beware of that, because that was a really big thing that I didn't consider at all. I just thought, you have an operation, you lay on the table, but I was quite sick and I was shaking. Another thing about a C-section is your scar can be numb for a very long time or forever. Crazy. Obviously they cut through nerves when they cut you open to take your baby out. I still don't have all feeling. I actually hate feeling around my scar, so I don't know how much feeling I have. I think I have some on the sides but not in the middle, and some people never get the feeling back. Some people get it back after a few months, a few years. Just expect that if you have a C-section. Let's talk about poo. It's a really shit topic, but it has to be discussed. Stool softeners. start taking them as soon as you deliver, like literally start taking them before maybe. I don't know. I probably didn't start taking them soon enough. I did not poo for like 5 days after I had her. It was hell. I was taking stool softeners and I bumped it up to 2 and nothing was happening. So then I got onto Movicol, which was the drink that you take. You mix in a sachet, mix in water and have that. I had that a couple of times and it worked, thank God. Not only that, like the first poo is kind of scary because well, for me, I was cut open, so I didn't know like how much I could push or not push. You didn't really want to push because it hurt. But 4 weeks later, for about 6 weeks, I would say pooing was not normal. I don't know about you guys, but I can do a poo in like under a minute kind of thing. I'm not like a guy and I sit there for half an hour. I would sit there for 10 minutes or more waiting. It was absolute torture. So definitely get on the stool softeners, drink Movicol or whatever regularly to get everything moving, but expect it to take time for things to go back to normal. If they do ever go back to normal, I don't want to say that because I hope that they do for you, because they have for me. I didn't realize this, but bleeding after a C-section is actually quite minimal. I only bled for probably like a day and a half and then it just went to spotting. I did spot for probably 5 weeks, I think. But it was very, very light. Like I was only wearing a panty liner kind of thing. But I bought all these like maternity pads and I think I used like 3 of them. Like even the Depends underwear I bought, did not need them. So I know some people don't know if they're gonna have a C-section or not and it's best to be prepared, but keep that in mind. This one hit me hard the day after I got home, having nothing to wear. I had a bit of a sleep in and then Dean had his dad come around to meet Daisy and I had like 3 minutes to have a shower and put something on and I had nothing in my closet to wear because you want to look nice, you want to feel good depending on the weather, and you've got to think about breastfeeding and you've just had a baby, so you've still got a bump, like you still look pregnant and you don't know what to wear and you're going to have a cry about it. It'll happen. Just expect it, and if you can, try and have a few backup dresses or, you know, something that's comfortable and you think that might work for those first couple of days, because they are, yeah, not fun. I think it was about 5-6 days postpartum. I actually went out and went shopping because I needed new clothes. I got this dress and a few other dresses that had like buttons down the front for breastfeeding and that were comfy, that were like, you know, but just expect you to be upset about having nothing to wear for a while. It's shit. It's really shit. Breastfeeding, it's a really massive topic. Nothing can ever prepare you for breastfeeding. Some people might have a relatively easy journey, some people might have a really hard journey, some people might not be able to do it at all. And I think the thing is, for everyone, it is such an emotional thing. Like, it's such an emotional journey, whether it be short or long, because no one else can give your baby the milk that you make. No one else can ever do that, because your milk is made specially for that baby from you. And it's such a beautiful thing, and it's really, really hard. I didn't know what I was doing as a first-time mum in a hospital, and I didn't know how to get them to latch. Daisy's latch was extremely hard and painful. Like, I called a piranha because it felt like something was just biting on my boob. My nipples were just ruined in hospital. It was like every time a nurse would see my nipples, they'd be like, oh my God, when did she do that? And I said, oh, she latched incorrectly when she was first put on me, which she did. But then, you know, they can get damaged quite easily. They take a few days to recover. And obviously for me, her latch, even when it was right, it hurt. And when it wasn't right, it hurt. They say, oh, you've got to make sure their latch is right, but you don't know that their latch is right unless you pull them off quite often. And you don't want to pull them off because what if it is okay and they're feeding and then you've got to latch them again? So That's just latching anyway. But then feeding every 3 hours, every 2 hours, whatever it may be, it is exhausting. When you breastfeed or you express, your body releases a hormone that actually makes you tired, relaxes you, and you get very, very tired doing it. I would say most women would have at least drifted off to sleep at least once, if not more, especially during the middle of the night. It's very hard to stay awake when you are just, you know, which is very dangerous as well. So just expect that. I guess you'd think breastfeeding, it comes naturally, we're women, but it's actually really hard. For me, I've had so many problems along my breastfeeding journey, and I'm 11 weeks along. I didn't realize I had inverted nipples, so I use a nipple shield or a breast shield, and that has helped a lot. But then my back was really sore when I would breastfeed. I wasn't supported right, or I wasn't sitting right. I didn't know how to sit, and my back just hurt so much. And you've also got to make sure that they can still breathe, that they're not smothered by your boobs. So for me, with big boobs, like looking over and trying to hold my boob back so that she wasn't smothered, it was too much for me. I cried every time I breastfed for the first couple of weeks, and I was just like, I'm not doing it, I hate doing it. And I'd just pump because it would be easier. It would also take so long for her to feed, and I had like other things on my mind that I needed to do, and you really can't do anything when you're breastfeeding. Like sometimes you can't even watch a TV show because they're not latched, or they won't latch, and you know, things like that. So just set your expectations low, I guess it would be. And it's all about learning. It takes a long time to get it. I will say it does get easier past the 6 weeks mark. That's if you make it there. A lot of women don't make it there, but you just do whatever is right for you. You don't have to breastfeed if you don't want to. You do whatever's right for you and your baby. Like, I mean, people talk about how hard it is, but I don't know if people really understand, and it's nothing that you can probably understand until you've been there and you've been through it. It's exhausting, but it's a love-hate relationship because you want to have that bond with your child and you want to feed them, but there's so many things that make it hard and make it difficult and make it very stressful. Yeah, it's a big one. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, this video is kindly sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the online platform to create any type of website you are after. I've recently revamped my blog and I've turned it into a store as well. My mum and I have been doing some artwork, and I've been able to create a store online through my blog that I already had to be able to sell it, which is awesome. I've also got my Instagram preset that I use on there as well, and it's so amazing. Like, they make it so easy to turn a website into anything that you can dream of. So it's currently a blog and a store, an information page. Like, they have amazing templates to choose from, and you can also link your social accounts. So I have my Instagram linked, which looks fab. They have excellent analytics, so you can see where your viewers are coming from, who's looking at purchasing what, your top pages. And I actually even have the app on my phone, so I can check straight away, or I get a notification if someone's purchased something, which is awesome. If you have an idea in your mind, Squarespace can probably do it. You can just look in their excellent help guides that will show you how to do anything or link anything, and it's so easy to use. I absolutely love it. I do have a coupon code which will get you 10% off your website or domain, so you can sign up, but they do also have a 14-day free trial where you can make your website and test it out and see how it goes. But yeah, everything will be listed down below, so feel free to check out Squarespace. Along with breastfeeding, I didn't realize that I would have to literally wear a bra 24/7. It was the day that I got home and I had a shower, and later that night I went to change into my pajamas, and I'm like, oh, I actually can't take this bra off because I have my hydrogel breast discs and then my breast pads, so my nipples don't leak. And if I take the bra off, then I'm just gonna leak over everything, and that's no. Like, I just did not even think about it. So And because you're wearing one 24/7, you need to have a few backups. So I actually had to go and buy so many maternity bras, like just around home ones, but yeah, cool. Also, I didn't realize, like obviously, but like your body will basically tell you when you need to feed your baby. Your nipples will get tingly and you'll know that your boobs like need to let go and feed your baby if your baby doesn't wake up, like, or if you're out and about. One time I just distinctly remember Dean and I had to go do a few errands and Daisy was being looked after by my mum and dad, and it got to like the 3-hour mark because it goes so quick. By the time, you know, went from when you last started feeding her to when you have to feed again, I was just like trying to get everything done, rushing around, and then all of a sudden my nipples started tingling and we were out at the shops and I'm like, oh, I miss her, like I need to get home to her, I need to like feed her. It's such a bizarre feeling, and now like I'm used to it, but when it first happens, it's just like it takes you by surprise. You're not expecting it, and it's just amazing how the body works like that. It just is a connection that you have with your baby. Sleep deprivation. Because Daisy actually lost 8% of her body weight, we had to feed her every 3 hours. It was ridiculous. We would be waking up and feeding her, and it was so hard, and especially if you're breastfeeding by yourself, to try and stay awake in the middle of the night. And oh wow, nothing can prepare you for this sleep deprivation. You know, everyone jokes about like, oh, get as much sleep as you can before the baby comes, or sleep when the baby sleeps, and it's just like, well, obviously I'm sleeping before the baby comes, but that's not going to save me with the sleep deprivation that I have when I'm breastfeeding at 3 a.m. The sleep when the baby sleeps, you will most likely need an afternoon nap. I don't know what it's like for people who don't have a C-section, but it took me a while to recover, obviously, from having an operation, but I needed an afternoon nap probably until maybe around 8 weeks or 9 weeks. Most days I needed a nap because I could not get through the day, and I was cranky, I was upset, I was hormonal, and I needed that. Even if it was just 15 minutes, it made a difference to my day. This one's a funny one, but you will not be prepared for how often you will hear who your baby looks like. Oh my God, I don't know if it's because I'm on social media, like, but seriously, I post a picture and there's 50 comments saying, oh, she looks so much like her dad. And it's just like, do you think I haven't heard that before? Like, I mean, there is a thing that I heard to say that usually babies look like their father, and it goes back to, you know, like the caveman days, so that they say that the father knows it's theirs. Most likely the baby is going to look like the dad anyway, but far out. I know she looks like him. Like, I mean, personally, I just think that she looks like her. I don't see either one of us. There's some certain days I feel like she does look like him. Certain days I see me in her, but she's just Daisy to me. Like, I don't see anyone else. It's so weird. So you probably hear about this, but like the ups and downs, especially like the first week after having your baby, they are hardcore. Like, you can be having such a good day one day and just love your baby so much, and then the next day you can just be so broken and just not know how you're going to get through the next 24 hours. Just crying and just be a mess, and that's normal. Along with the sleep deprivation, the pressure of breastfeeding, the pressure of housework, feeding yourself, washing, the way you look, it all just adds up and you explode. It's gonna happen. The hormones are running through your body, like your body has just given birth. You've been through a major thing, and yeah, expect to be really, really up and down. I want to talk about this really quickly because it took me probably, I think, around 8 weeks or so for me to realize that this child, I had been dreaming about, I had been fantasizing about this child and just loving this child and enjoying this child. And it took me so long to realize after she was born that I wasn't able to really enjoy her like, say, my mum does, because I'm caring for her. I'm constantly worrying about feeding her, making her settled, getting her to sleep, burping her, like dressing her, like changing her. You're constantly worried about that. You rarely get a moment to just sit there and enjoy them because you're just like, oh, I shouldn't be holding you. You should be put down. So just keep that in mind if you can. So just take a few moments each day to just enjoy your baby. Just look them in the eyes and look at all their features, hold their hand, hold them, cuddle them. You know, take a few moments like that and just, you know, pretend you're visiting someone else's baby or something, because before you know it, they're 11 weeks and they're so much bigger, and then they're going off to high school, and you know, or they're at the age where you can't hold them like you do when they're an infant. It's a really special time when they're a newborn, and you're learning so much anyway. So just try and enjoy some moment of the day, even if it's a really shit day. Lastly, this one's like, I don't want to sound like I'm having a dig, but I just want to let you guys know that people aren't going to always be there for you, especially the people you probably think are going to be there and visit you. I'm not having a dig, but there's a lot of people who haven't visited or even met Daisy, and maybe it's because of COVID as well, but there's a lot of people that haven't met her or have only visited her a couple of times or once, when I thought maybe they would have wanted to see her more or be involved in her life a bit more. But I want you to be aware of that. And I don't want to sound like, oh, you know, once you have a baby, everyone forgets about you, because that's not the case. And it's just that your life takes a bit of a different turn. I'm now in a mother's group. Oh, I'm in a two mothers group actually, and I know people that have had babies recently, so I'm not alone. But like, your whole world changes, and you just revolve around this little thing and caring for it and keeping it alive, and nothing else really matters apart from that, because you're so focused on it. It doesn't matter to me that people don't visit, because honestly I don't have the time for visitors, but it is a bit upsetting when you think people would have visited by now, or you know, they would have spent more time with her considering how close they are, or you know, everything like that. All these things play into your mind, and yeah, like there have been times where I have been upset about it, but just expect that that might happen. So I hope that this video has helped you in some kind of way, whether you are expecting or you've recently had your baby, or if your babies are all grown and you're like, oh my god, I remember that. And oh, just leave your comments or your stories down below. We can all have a laugh in the comments, and maybe not have a laugh, maybe we'll have a cry. But we can all relate to it at some point, hopefully. And I think that that's just what this is about, is just keeping it real and being honest and talking about the stuff that no one really talks about, because it's real. So don't forget to check out Squarespace. Everything will be linked down below, and coupon code will get you 10% off your website or domain. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.
For something that ain't lost, have we got our lines crossed? We're wasting time on stuff that doesn't really matter, while wishing for something better.